No background music this time because this is kind of a heavy topic. So, last night I went to a vigil slash celebration of life for Trans Day of Remembrance. It was a really sobering experience. Now, if you don't want to hear about the tragic stuff, I'll I'll say in the description when I'm done talking about that and moving on to the celebration of life because it's a lot to take in. At least it was for me. So use this opportunity to look in the description and just kind of skip ahead to the good positive stuff if you don't want to hear the sad heavy stuff. Okay, I'm sure they've skipped forward by now. So I went to this vigil, saw some familiar faces, met some new people. One of the speakers, she honestly, her speech was absolutely beautiful, very, very touching. But one of the things that broke my heart is in just these last 2 years, she has lost 6 people that she personally knew. 4 last year and 2 this year. Speaking of this year, the death toll last time I heard 726. Just just take a moment to really digest that. And just this year, and the year's not over yet, 726 trans people were murdered. 726. That's close to 1,000 people dead and gone just for being themselves. That's the only thing they did wrong. They decide to live as who they are, and they were killed for it. Some of them, a couple were teenagers, 15 and 14 years old. They haven't even really begun to experience everything life has to offer them. And now they can't because they were beaten and stabbed to death for being trans. If that doesn't make you angry or like sad and devastated, I I don't even know what to tell you. I can't I can barely actually no, I can't fathom that amount of people being gone for doing nothing. They were just existing, just living their lives, and people saw fit to murder them. I think one of the worst ones I saw, I think it was Brazil. A trans woman was decapitated. They cut her fucking head off. 726 lives, 78 of which were in the US where I live, and the year's not even over. That is unfathomable. That the loss of life just for being transgender and living as themselves. It's it's awful. No one deserves to die just for being themselves. They weren't hurting anybody. They weren't causing crimes. They were just living their lives. And people saw fit to murder them for it. I I can't even be sad about that. I'm just angry. Just blindingly angry that so many people are killed every year for the crime of being themselves. It's 300 plus more than last year. Last year, around this time, it was 419. 419 lives snuffed out because of hatred and bigotry. And this year, it was over 700. When is this going to stop? Just, when are we going to be allowed just to live? Why does this have to happen? Why do we have to be in danger every day just for being who we are? It's beyond unacceptable. It's it's devastating. It's infuriating. It's terrible. I absolutely terrible. What happens because of bigotry and hatred and people that don't want to understand us? We're just trying to live. Is that such a demand? Is that really asking too much? Just let us live our lives as ourselves. I don't think that's asking too much, and yet this is the world we live in. It was it was a really heavy vigil. Like just really emotionally heavy. Seeing all the names and faces of the people that were killed this year for for nothing. They're dead, and for what? So, after the vigil, we had a candlelit walk. Usually it takes place at the Capitol, but that just wasn't in the funds this year. So it was a walk between two inclusive churches. At the other church was the separation. Oh my God, I'm losing it. Celebration of life, where now that we've mourned our dead, we celebrate their lives that they led before they were tragically cut short. There were a lot of different LGBT organizations there. We had some queer artists, both like painters, like physical artists, and spoken word artists. A couple of whom I bought things from and followed on Instagram. But it was a it was a really nice ceremony. Just just hearing the spoken word of the poets, seeing the emotional artwork of like the painters and artists, like thanking all the organizations that helped make it possible. Snacks. It was really nice. I signed up for a few coalitions just because this year, this next presidential term, it's going to be a Greek tragedy. I just it's obvious. It's going to be so much worse than the first time. The first time I didn't do much. I circulated links and posted articles and not much else. Basically, quote unquote, slacktivism. I'm not doing that this year. Like, our community can't afford to have people give up or just sit idly by and watch our world go up in flames. I'm going to do more this year than I did last term. And I hope you all do too. We need all the help we can get because it's going to get real bad real fast. It it truly is. And I'm scared, and I know you're all scared. We're scared, we're sad, we're angry. It seems like no one's going to help us, so we have to help ourselves. We need to strengthen our community. We need to come together. We need to organize. We need to fight. Because come this time next year, I don't want another 700 people to be gone.